focus point today is about Social Security. And there is increasing talk, once again, of privatization. Now, this is an idea that was really first floated in 2005 by President George W. Bush. And it's basically it's different than what most people think it is. Okay, so let's back up. Privatization is basically saying, think of a 401k, forced 401k participation. But instead of a 401k, it goes into some sort of other type of account, right, for your retirement. Now, currently, when there's a fund, right, there's a Social Security fund. And the Social Security fund is paid into by current workers, and then benefits get paid out of it. But it's sitting there. It's sitting there, and it's invested in treasuries. And so it earns some sort of interest rate, market rate. Luckily, right now, that's higher than it has been in the past. But, it's guaranteed by the U.S. government, so it's super safe. Now, privatization would basically allow the average person to invest the money, actually allow the system to invest the money on behalf of workers in order to make a higher return. Over long periods of time, probably going to work out. But like I've said earlier this week about how the fact that there are periods of time, decades even, where you actually get negative real returns from equities. So while the whole idea is to earn higher returns by investing in equities instead of bonds, it's not necessarily always going to work out. And then there's the question of, do you want to take that risk with all of Americans in order to potentially earn a higher return? There's no guarantee of that, right? We know there's risk. Timing matters in a big way. And ultimately, Social Security is really there for those lower income consumers as a safety net. So it is, right? It's a safety net. Do you want to gamble with that? I don't say gamble. Do you want to take risks with that safety net? That's ultimately the question about Social Security and privatization. That's what this means. Now, if there was a privatization in 2005, and it was invested in the S&P, for example, it would have done about 4 times as well as it did using, investing in treasuries. So it would have worked out then. But that was 2005, right? We were just coming out of the financial crisis, out of the dot-com bubble. So equities had rallied a bit, but they had further to go. And obviously we've had very good returns kind of post-COVID. But what about if that was 1999 when you privatized Social Security? Well, those returns look very different. So timing certainly matters. Now, will they privatize Social Security? Probably not. I don't think there's enough traction for it. But what is likely to happen is reform in some way, shape, or form. Raising the limit on Social Security taxes, for example. I think it's now $160,000 or something like that. Cutting benefits, means testing benefits potentially. Raising the retirement age. That's very possible. Or a combination of all these factors, and that's probably more likely. So, in my opinion, do I think I used to be in the camp that we should privatize Social Security? I did. I'm no longer in that camp, to be honest, because there's other ways that investors can take bigger risks, and it keeps a floor for the average person of income in retirement. And the reality is, especially those in, maybe lower income, lower educated, they don't have the means or the ability to make smart decisions. And oftentimes they fall prey to their fear and greed. And I don't think that's something we should leave up to chance. I'd rather have that consistent floor for the average American. But it's always up to everyone's opinion.